Hello everyone, this is GeoStar7 here and welcome to GeoStar Reviews. Today I'm going to be looking at Night 2 of WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. If you haven't already, you can see my review to Night 1 of the event. It's available on the channel right now. But this is just giving my thoughts and opinions of the show and what I felt worked about it and what I didn't as well. And just so you know, this again, this isn't scripted or anything. This is just me giving my thoughts and feelings to the show, while they're still fresh in my mind, if you know what I mean. So before I get into the event itself, I just want to quickly mention, sort of give an honourable mention to a match that was supposed to take place at the event, but ultimately had to be cut. I think there was actually two that were supposed to happen. I think it was implied that there was meant to be something between LA Knight and the New Day, but obviously that had to be scrapped because Kofi Kingston got injured. But no, the match I'm talking about, it was the one that would have taken place between Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt. So yeah, this feud seemed like it was starting just after Elimination Chamber. Bray Wyatt was saying he was going to target whoever won the match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, and that ultimately ended up being Bobby Lashley. And it just began where Bray was starting to play these mind games, like he was trying to get under Lashley's skin. He was doing all these strange things, and even brought back the Muscle Man dance music video he created, and he even inserted clips of Bobby Lashley into that, which was just really starting to tick him off, really. So yeah, Bobby Lashley was just getting more and more ticked off by what was happening, and he started saying, like, I'm not playing kid games, and he was getting really angry, and he was trying to find Bray Wyatt to confront him. But then all of a sudden these segments, they just suddenly stopped, and rather abruptly, really. But yeah, it was because that Bray Wyatt had apparently walked out of some house shows that he was taking part in. I'm not entirely sure of the details. People were actually suspecting that maybe he'd walked out of WWE. But according to WWE themselves, they've said that the reason that Bray Wyatt had to go was because of what they called physical issues. So I don't know if that means he got in a real life fight with someone, or if he's injured like Kofi Kingston. But yeah, so ultimately those circumstances just led to the match having to be at WrestleMania having to be called off. Whether that was going to be like a regular one-on-one match, or maybe something a bit more cinematic, like with the Firefly Funhouse, we don't know. But so yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for Bobby Lashley, because there were, like he said it himself, there were things on the table, then things got taken off the table, and ultimately he didn't get to compete at WrestleMania. But I think as a constellation prize, they did allow him to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal the Friday before the show. So yeah, he's now joined the likes of Baron Corbin, Matt Hardy, Big Show, Cesaro, Jey Uso, and Madcap Moss. Might be one more I'm forgetting, but oh well. But yeah, he has joined those prestigious superstars who have won that trophy. And there was even a segment on night 2 of the show where he just got to come out and just display the trophy, just to really show just how great of a superstar he was, even though he hadn't had the chance to actually compete at the event itself. But anyway, so let's just get into the show itself. It actually began quite similarly to how Night 1 began. They had another guest star come on to sing America the Beautiful. I think this time it was Jimmy Allen, I believe, who came to sing the song. They even did another cold open with Kevin Hart again. So it was a different one from the night before, but yeah, he was performing that intro, and And The Miz and Snoop Dogg returned as the hosts. So I guess The Miz briefly forgave Snoop Dogg for booking him in that match against Pat McAfee the night before. But yeah, it was just, again, they were just telling us what we could expect from the show. And then we got into our first match of the night, which was Brock Lesnar versus Omos. So yeah, the story going into this match was that Brock Lesnar was this big strong dude, like he's a former UFC fighter, multiple time world champion, and for so many years he's been like the most dominant force in WWE. But now Omos has come in. He's this towering giant, and he's actually a very big threat to Brock Lesnar. And in the lead up to this match, they were showing how much taller, how much heavier Omos is than Brock Lesnar, and the fact that Brock Lesnar has not been able to knock him off his feet. He hasn't been able to suplex him or F5 him. So yeah, it was starting to seem like he was a really worthy competitor to be going up against Brock Lesnar. He would be a challenge for the Beast Incarnate, and that was actually shown a lot in the match itself. Like in the opening moments, Brock Lesnar was being manhandled by Omos. He was being thrown around the ring. He was being knocked down. He was really on the fence. And you think, Brock Lesnar's usually the one making his opponents look weak. He's he's the one usually who's getting them on the run and giving them that challenge, but this time it was Omos. It was so surreal to see those roles reversal. It was making Brock look, human by comparison. But like I said, the match didn't go on very long. It was a bit like the United States Championship match that opened night one before. It didn't go on any longer than it needed to be, and eventually Brock Lesnar was able to start getting the upper hand. He did find a way to suplex Omos by going low. He did fail an F5 at one point because his back gave out, but ultimately he tried again. He got the F5, and Brock Lesnar was your winner. So yeah, Omos very is very credible superstar. He's very agile. Is very strong. Some people think he might be the greatest big man they've had in the company since the days of Andre the Giant, but yeah, Brock Lesnar was ultimately able to overcome him. He's still Brock Lesnar. And so next up was the WrestleMania showcase. Just like on night one, we had a fatal four-way between 4 tag teams. This time, however, it was on the women's side. We had the teams of, I believe, Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey taking on Tegan Nox and Natalya, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, and the last one was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So just like with night one, it was just to get as many people on the card as possible, but also really to show what they could bring to a grand stage like WrestleMania. I didn't really get much out of this match because it was with the women's division. Like, even though they have women's tag team championships, the women's division isn't as large as the men's division is. So there's not that many credible women's tag teams. So I think this was just a way to show that some women could work well together as teams. They could potentially be challengers. But in the end, it was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler who ultimately won the match, and they were the one team that didn't even need to qualify for the match. They were just given that privilege. So yeah, it kind of undermines how the other teams had to qualify for the match, and then just someone comes in and just takes the victory. It's almost like when they do it with the Money in the Bank match. You build up the match with all these competitors, and then someone just comes in and steals the spotlight. What's the point of promoting the other people? That's just my opinion. So yes, so Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey did win the match, so potentially they could be contenders for the women's tag team championships. Up next we had what I believe many people were looking forward to. Like, this was one of aside from the main event, like, this was the match to watch on this night of WrestleMania. It was a triple threat match between Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. And, you know, the reason people were so excited about this match is because they could see just how well all three of these competitors were together. Like, Gunther has been a dominant Intercontinental Champion. He's actually held it longer than anyone in the 21st century. Like, he's held it, I believe, over 290 days. That's one of the longest reigns ever, and I didn't even realise he'd held it for that long. Drew McIntyre is obviously a former WWE champion. He's been Intercontinental Champion before. And Sheamus, he's held just about every major championship. He's had every possible accomplishment, like winning the Royal Rumble and the Money in the Bank briefcase, but he has never won the Intercontinental Championship. And anyway, there was this whole story going into the match where Gunther wanted to have a genuine one-on-one challenger. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, who they're part-time friends, part-time enemies. They were feuding over who got the right to challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. There were a couple of number one contender matches that got screwed over, either by double pins or interference from Gunther himself. So ultimately, it was decided that it would be a triple threat match, which I think everyone was happy for, because with the talent that each one of these guys had, what Drew versus Gunther, brilliant match. Sheamus versus Gunther, brilliant match. I mean, like you just need to go back to Clash at the Castle to see just how well that they actually work together. But to have all three of them in the ring at the same time going at it, it was something that everyone just really wanted to see. And without question, the match delivered. There was hardly ever a moment where not all three of them were in the ring together at once. They were always together. They were always hitting each other hard. I think at one point it was just like a strike fest, like where they strike each other's chest, like one of those slaps, like woo, like woo, and it was just they kept slapping and slapping and slapping, and it was turning all of their chests red, and everyone was just eating it up. It was getting to the point where it wasn't so much a wrestling match as it was a genuine fight, and absolutely everyone was invested in it, especially Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Titus O'Neil, who was on commentary for this match. Everyone was just so invested, and when Gunther finally picked up the victory and he retained the Intercontinental Championship, everyone was on their feet giving a standing ovation, because it was just such an incredible match. I mean, even I could see just how incredible that it was. So Gunther did retain, and all three of them, Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre, they came out looking stronger than ever before. And so from one championship match to another, we then moved on to Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair has, of course, been the Raw Women's Champion for over a year now. She first won the title from Becky Lynch at last year's WrestleMania, and she's now one of the longest modern women's champions. And so the feud going into this was that Asuka had won the Elimination Chamber match in order to for the right to compete against Bianca Belair. And, you know, there was this whole... I'm not sure if I was very invested in the story, because it was like, you know, we're friends, but Asuka was starting to show signs of erratic erratic behavior, like because she was sometimes she had the blue mist leak from her mouth, and she started, and at one point she took Bianca's title and started parading around with it. It was I think it was hard to determine whether she was meant to be a heel or was just trying to psych her out. I don't know. So I think that made it a little bit harder to invest in. But yeah, ultimately it was a good match between Bianca Belair and Asuka, and in the end Bianca Belair retained, and she's still the Raw Women's Champion. So it looks like they're still really pushing just how much they support Bianca Belair. Okay, and at this point we had another surprise. So we had Snoop Dogg and The Miz come out again, and again, just like last night, they were recapping the event. And then we finally addressed what happened last night with The Miz turning to Snoop Dogg saying, I didn't appreciate you booking me in that match with Pat McAfee on a whim like that. I was not ready. My suit got damaged, and so yeah, he was really foul at that. So Snoop Dogg said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you weren't prepared. My bad. Do you want to do it again?" And at that point, like, so it looked like The Miz was going to be in another impromptu match, but believe it or not, this one was even more crazier than the one that happened on night one, because it was a real treat to see Pat McAfee return the night before. But who came out and to challenge Miz this time? Shane McMahon. Yep, Shane O'Mac was back at WrestleMania, and he was going to be taking on The Miz in somewhat of a rematch from a previous WrestleMania that they were fighting at. And it was just so strange, because like I don't think Shane's been involved in WWE since last year's WrestleMania, where everyone didn't really like how he was competing in the match and making everyone look weak. But anyway, so he was back here. The match did get underway despite The Miz's continued protests, but it couldn't have gone like a minute or two before I think Shane McMahon, I have no idea what happened. I wasn't really looking, but it looked like Shane injured himself while trying to perform something. So it looked like I don't know. I don't even know if it was genuine or not. It definitely looked like the medical people were coming in to see how he was, and it looked like the match just suddenly come to an end, and then The Miz just got in Snoop Dogg's face again, and then Snoop Dogg was getting ticked off with The Miz for getting in his face, and then suddenly the Snoop Dogg punches The Miz once, and then he hits him again, and then somehow I've no idea how this happened. Did he just decide to replace Shane McMahon in the match or something? Because Shane McMahon was taken out of the ring and we never saw him again. But anyway, Snoop Dogg knocked The Miz down and he got a physical pin on him. So it looked like, so not only did Snoop Dogg make this match between Shane McMahon and The Miz, but when Shane McMahon seemingly got injured and had to get taken out, he replaced him in the match and pinned him. So I have to admit that's probably the weirdest thing to happen on these two nights. Seeing Snoop Dogg make this match, then replace one of the competitors and actually get a physical pin over The Miz. And you've got to keep in mind, Miz is a former 2-time Grand Slam champion. He's been a WWE champion before, and this just really made Miz look like a chump, if you will. Then we had Edge versus Demon Finn Balor inside Hell in a Cell. Now, again, this was one of the matches that really had a great build to it. This was something I believe that had been building since last year, because last year Edge was the one who actually formed the Judgment Day after defeating AJ Styles in his match. It started with him teaming up with Damian Priest, who was already quite the star to begin with, and then they started on this this journey where they started recruiting more superstars like Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor. The idea was that Edge was trying to push these forgotten superstars who WWE had been supposedly not been focusing on as well as they should have because of how talented they were, and he was putting them in this group to help elevate their status, and then it got to the point where he brought Finn Balor into the group, and that's when things all fell apart because the three of them decided that if they were going to elevate themselves higher, they would have to get rid of dead weight, and they felt that dead weight was Edge, and so they immediately kicked him out of the group, and then it was just the three of them, and then they later recruited Dominic, and then they just went on to be this dominant force that's really felt like a credible threat inside WWE, and then it led to Edge realizing he'd made a terrible mistake. He needed to stop the Judgment Day, so he began doing battles with them, like teaming with Rey Mysterio in a tag team match, facing Finn Balor in an I Quit match, which ultimately resulted in his wife Beth Phoenix getting injured because he had to say I quit in order to make sure they wouldn't hurt her, but they did anyway, showing just how despicable they are. And then I believe Edge he returned at the Royal Rumble, and he faced I believe Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley in a tag team match and won, but they ultimately felt they had to bring an end to it, and it was long rumored that they would face each other inside Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, and that's ultimately what ended up happening, which of course made everyone really happy. Before the match started, though, I have to say that I really loved the video package that they did. They actually made it into they had someone read out a poem that was sort of metaphoric, talking about the Demon Prince, you're in a demons as a warrior who was cast into exile. It felt really, really powerful stuff, if I'm being honest. If you have to watch any promo for any match, you've got to listen to this one. It's really good. So anyway, and then they made their entrances, and of course, because Edge has his background from the Attitude Era, where he started out as part of the Brood, he sort of encompassed that into his entrance. He had all this entrance with a ring of fire and all this gothic imagery, and he even came out wearing what looked like a skull mask that was made. I don't know if it was crystal or something, but it was. I don't know how to describe it. It's one of the most. I don't know how to describe it. Like I say, like a crystal skull mask that he was wearing, and it's something to look at. Believe me, if you see a video clip of his entrance, it's something. And he had these giant bat wings as well. But yeah, after all that, his proper theme music played, and he entered Hell in a Cell. And then Finn Balor came out as his demon persona. We haven't seen him use this since, I think, he challenged Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, where there was that whole weird thing where he was revived by I don't know, by his theme music, and then it looked like he would have won the match, but then the top rope broke, which allowed Roman Reigns to pin him, which WWE never ever addressed, despite how surreal it was. But anyway, so yeah, the demon was brought back here, and I was very interested to see how it would be changed up, because Finn's obviously now a heel character now, so it was interesting to see what the demon would look like as a bad guy. Generally it was the same, but I think he incorporated more purple into the colour scheme instead of just red. But yeah, he looked as impressive as ever, and they even brought back the old theme music that Finn used to have, that part where he goes, Wah! Wah! or something like that. I just that's just so addictive when he does that, and the lights flash as well. But yeah, anyway, so it was inside the match it was true carnage like you'd expect a Hell in a Cell match to be. There was one point where Edge had Finn trapped in the corner of the cell with kendo sticks, and by the way, I should mention this as well. For they decided to go a little bit extra with the weapons, and they decided to colour some of them red and purple, going with the whole colour scheme with the demon and the red attire that Edge was wearing as well. So I'm not sure if it was necessary. I mean, that makes it seem a little bit goofy. I mean, at least the cell itself wasn't red. It was actually the normal silver color, I believe. But yeah, there was kendo sticks. There was tables. There was chairs. There was a point where Finn Balor climbed up the cell onto a platform that for some reason was on the cell, and he used that to attempt to do a coup de grace on Edge through the table, but Edge moved out the way, and it looked like the landing would have crushed Finn's ankles. But no, I think though one of the more serious shots was when Edge actually had a ladder and he threw it at Finn, and it looked like even though Finn got his hands up, it looked like what part of the metal had actually collided with his face, because there was this brief moment where Finn was down and medical personnel actually had to come into the ring. I was thinking, and they were keeping the cameras off him as well. So I was thinking, oh god, has something gone really wrong here? Are they going to have to call off the rest of the match? But anyway, but in the end they were able to. They were able to persist through it. Edge set everything up for while Finn was recovering. He did eventually recover. They were able to continue the match, but ultimately Edge hit a concerto on Demon Finn, and he did get the visual pinfall. So I don't know if that means the end for Edge facing the Judgment Day, because he has stated that, you know, even though he has managed to come back from his 9-year injury with his neck, like, you know, he doesn't wrestle as frequently as he used to, and he does only have a short time on his career that he can afford to give left, if you know what I mean. And then we got to the main event. I just want to say that the build up to this match was incredible. Just like with Edge and Finn Balor, it's been building up, I believe, for a whole year now. When Cody Rhodes first came back to WWE, the night after WrestleMania, he said that he had a dream to become a WWE champion, and to give it to his dad, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, because although, there was apparently one time where Dusty did hold the WWE Championship, but it was by disqualification, so it was not like an official WWE Championship reign. Cody said he wanted to win the WWE Championship, give it to his dad and say, there's your title, Dad. No one can take it from you now. But of course, Dusty Rhodes sadly passed away, and that was the time when Cody Rhodes was stuck doing the Stardust gimmick, which he grew to despise, because it felt like he was riding the coattails of his brother Dustin, who was Gold Dust, and it was like they just weren't letting him escape that. So he left. He went onto the independent circuit. He started AEW. He became the star he knew he was. Now he's come back, and he has this mission. He wants to end the story. Even though he can't physically give the WWE Championship to his dad anymore, he will give it to him in spirit when he wins it. So and it started with a feud with Seth Rollins, which ultimately derailed his plan because he had that horrific pec injury. Like, the fact that he went into Hell in a Cell with that kind of injury and still managed to win. I think that night Cody Rhodes became a legend. He became a true hero of wrestling. And I think when he came back from that injury, when he came back at the Royal Rumble, WWE were really banking on that. They really wanted people to get behind Cody Rhodes because of that performance that he'd put in. And so Cody Rhodes entered the Royal Rumble. He entered number 30. He eliminated Gunther, who had lasted longer in a traditional Royal Rumble than anyone else. And he was going on to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. He showed he was a great competitor. He was sharing a war of words with Paul Heyman. He was getting into a bit of a miniature rivalry with Solo Sikoa, and he and Roman Reigns were just talking about the legacy of their families, what they thought of each other, and their supposed journeys. And like I said, this was just such an incredible build-up. Like, you just felt that, you know, given how long Roman Reigns has held the WWE Universal Championship, you just felt like this was the moment. Like, there were moments before, like at Clash at the Castle, when it was Drew McIntyre facing him, and you thought that, given Drew was in Great Britain, and this was a UK event, and he was from the UK, and he had everyone's support, like you thought for sure that he was going to defeat Roman Reigns and get that win, which I think apparently was at one point going to be the case, but they ultimately decided not to. But yeah, you just felt like everything was building up to this one incredible moment where Cody Rhodes would manage to beat Roman Reigns. Like, we had the miracle win on night one of WrestleMania with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You felt that this was the icing on the cake. You really started to believe that Cody Rhodes was the one that was going to do it, especially with the story and everything behind it. You just thought, you know, in spite of all of Roman Reigns' victories and how dominant he's been, it just felt like Cody Rhodes, he had that chance. It felt like he was going to ultimately do it. And like, even with his entrance, like, his family were in the front row. He had his baby girl there, and there was even another person who was there was actually the son of Brody Lee, who you guys might know as -1 from AEW. You know, like I said, it just felt like this was the moment, and they even partway during the match, like they had even though you saw the Usos coming out to help Roman Reigns, there was also Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens who came in to fend them off. Solo Sikoa had been thrown out for interference. And it was getting into the last few moments where Cody Rhodes was going into a sequence where he was doing multiple crossroads, and you just felt, oh my god, this is it. But then Paul Heyman distracts the referee. Solo Sikoa runs back in from the crowd, hits the Samoan spike. Roman Reigns hits the spear, and he pins Cody Rhodes. That one moment completely, it almost felt like the entire WrestleMania event was ruined. I literally had my hand in I literally had my head in my hands like this. I was on the verge of tears because of the travesty that had happened. I can understand that WWE has been hell-bent on pushing Roman Reigns as this dominant champion. He is, he retained the championship, won WrestleMania. He beat Brock Lesnar for both belts at last year's WrestleMania. He's just kept winning and winning and winning. Even at SummerSlam, where not even a tipped up ring could have managed to stop him. Not even at Clash of the Castle, where basically an entire nation was behind Drew McIntyre, was he still beaten. And you just felt, but with this story that they were telling, if Cody Rhodes had managed to beat him, this would have been one of, if not the greatest WrestleMania event of all time. I haven't really looked into why they decided to have Roman Reigns go over yet again, but the stars were aligned. The story was perfect. It was right there. And on top of that, Cody Rhodes, he had basically come in from another company. He was a fresh guy. Roman Reigns had practically gone through everyone in the company by that point. You could have had this new guy come in and have him be a credible threat and ultimately been the one to beat Roman Reigns and to start a new era. But they didn't do that. Honestly, I woke up this morning still feeling depressed at WWE's decision, because Roman Reigns has held this championship. I've honestly lost track how long he's had the championship. It's between 900 and 1,000 days. He's the 5th longest reigning champion in WWE history. He has nothing left to prove. If he had lost here, he would still be one of the greatest superstars that WWE has ever had. He had nothing to prove by beating Cody Rhodes here. If he'd lost, we would still acknowledge him, and we would have had a new champion, and it would have felt like a brand new era in WWE with a brand new star. I just don't know what the plan is, because at this point, there's no one left. There's no one left in the company that can be a credible threat to Roman Reigns. It doesn't matter how you build them up. For you to do this build up with Cody Rhodes with this story, and to just not pay it off. What other story could pay it off? What kind of feud can you possibly put together that will be a credible end to Roman Reigns' historic reign? I just don't know. At this point, I just don't know how you top what you were building with Cody Rhodes. It doesn't matter what feud you do now. I don't think anyone's going to believe it. I don't think anyone's going to believe that any of Roman Reigns' challengers have a chance of beating him. And if they do, it will feel like a fluke victory. And I have no idea how long WWE still want Roman Reigns to be their champion. I have no idea if they want to hold it off till SummerSlam this year, or maybe even next year's WrestleMania, because Roman Reigns is never going to lose it on a minor pay-per-view. They're never going to just have a quick blow-off match, especially after how much they've built him up. You made the wrong choice, WWE. This could have been the greatest WrestleMania of all time if you just made one change. Because, I didn't mind any of the other results with any of the other matches, they were fine. I even when heel wrestlers won, I was okay with it. It made sense. This did not make sense to me. It didn't. You dropped the ball, WWE. And if I'm being honest, by making this decision, you've somewhat made me lose faith in you. But anyway, that's just my opinions. Like I say, like I was saying, overall, on a more positive note, this whole WrestleMania weekend has been incredible. I'm really glad that I had the chance to see it live on the WWE Network. It's an incredible event, especially with night one's main event being a big payoff to Sami Zayn and everything, but and even and other things like the triple threat match between Sheamus, Gunther and Drew McIntyre. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Hell in a Cell match and just a whole lot of other things throughout the weekend. But yeah, if it was not for that one blemish, that one dream-shattering moment at the end of night 2, I genuinely believe this would have been one of the best WrestleManias ever, if not the best. But anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, you can check out my video to night 1 as well. If you like this video, then please leave a like, subscribe and comment below, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video that I do. Stay tuned.